Most people do not lose love because they are bad. They lose love because they do not understand it. A relationship does not break in one day. It dies slowly, through small mistakes made every day, often without noticing. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, never wrote about modern dating, but his wisdom about human behavior, ego, emotions, and discipline explains perfectly why love fails. If you understand these mistakes and avoid them, your relationship can become calm, strong, and long-lasting instead of painful and exhausting. The first mistake that destroys love is expecting your partner to make you happy. This is one of the biggest lies people believe. Many enter relationships thinking, "Now my life will be complete," or "This person will fix my loneliness." Marcus Aurelius warned against this mindset. He believed peace must come from within, not from external things or people. When you depend on your partner for happiness, you place a heavy burden on them. No human can carry that weight forever. Slowly, expectations turn into pressure. Pressure turns into disappointment. Disappointment turns into resentment. Love cannot survive where one person feels responsible for the emotional state of the other. A healthy relationship is when two complete people walk together, not when one leans entirely on the other. The second mistake is reacting emotionally instead of responding wisely. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that events themselves do not harm us, only our judgments about them do. In relationships, many arguments are not about big problems, but about emotional reactions. A late reply becomes a fight. A careless sentence becomes an insult. A bad day turns into blame. When emotions control you, you say things you cannot take back. You raise your voice. You attack instead of explaining. Over time, your partner stops feeling safe around you. Love needs emotional safety. If your partner feels they must walk on eggshells around you, love slowly turns into fear or distance. Another dangerous mistake is trying to control your partner. Control often disguises itself as care. You say you worry, but you actually want power. You say you protect, but you limit freedom. Marcus Aurelius taught that you should focus only on what is within your control, your own thoughts, actions, and character. Your partner is not your possession. When you try to control how they dress, who they meet, what they think, or how they live, you slowly kill respect. And without respect, love cannot breathe. The more you tighten your grip, the more they want to escape. Love grows in freedom, not in cages. The next mistake is ignoring small problems and hoping they disappear. Many people avoid difficult conversations because they fear conflict. They think silence will keep peace. Marcus Aurelius believed avoiding truth creates inner chaos. Small issues that are not addressed do not disappear. They grow quietly. Annoyances become grudges. Unspoken feelings turn into emotional walls. One day the relationship explodes, and both people say, "It came out of nowhere." But it did not. It was built slowly through avoidance. Love needs honest communication, even when it feels uncomfortable. Calm truth is always kinder than silent resentment. Another mistake that destroys love is letting ego lead the relationship. Ego wants to win arguments. Ego wants to be right. Ego refuses to apologize. Marcus Aurelius constantly warned against ego and pride. In relationships, ego creates distance. Instead of listening, you prepare your defense. Instead of understanding, you attack. Instead of fixing the problem, you protect your image. Love is not a battlefield. There are no winners in constant arguments. When ego dominates, intimacy dies. Real strength in love is the ability to say, "I was wrong," without feeling small. Comparing your relationship to others is another silent killer. Social media makes this mistake even worse. You see happy photos, perfect vacations, smiling couples, and you assume your relationship is lacking. Marcus Aurelius warned that envy poisons the mind. Every relationship has unseen struggles. When you compare, you stop appreciating what you have. Gratitude disappears, and dissatisfaction grows. Love needs appreciation. If you focus only on what your partner is not, you forget everything they are. Comparison creates unrealistic expectations that no real human can meet. Another serious mistake is neglecting personal growth. Some people stop growing once they enter a relationship. They stop learning, improving, and evolving. Marcus Aurelius believed self-improvement is a lifelong duty. When one or both partners stop growing, the relationship becomes stagnant. Conversations become repetitive. Attraction fades. Respect weakens. Love needs movement. Growth keeps curiosity alive. When both partners grow individually, they bring fresh energy into the relationship. Taking your partner for granted is another common but deadly mistake. In the beginning, effort comes naturally. You listen carefully. You show appreciation. Over time, familiarity creates laziness. You assume they will always be there. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that everything is temporary. When you forget this, you stop valuing what you have. Love needs conscious effort. Small acts of care, kind words, and presence keep love alive. Neglect does not end relationships suddenly. It erodes them quietly. Another mistake is refusing to forgive. Holding on to past mistakes poisons the present. Marcus Aurelius believed anger harms the person who holds it more than the one who caused it. In relationships, constant reminders of past failures create shame and distance. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or accepting bad behavior repeatedly. It means releasing the emotional weight after growth and accountability. Without forgiveness, love becomes a courtroom instead of a partnership. Misunderstanding love itself is perhaps the deepest mistake. Many think love is just emotion or passion. Marcus Aurelius viewed love as a daily choice rooted in virtue, patience, and understanding. Feelings change, passion rises and falls, but commitment, respect, and kindness are what sustain love over time. When people chase only feelings, they abandon relationships when emotions fade, not realizing that depth comes after the initial excitement. Finally, the mistake that quietly destroys everything is forgetting that your partner is human. Humans are flawed, emotional, inconsistent, and learning. Marcus Aurelius accepted human imperfection as part of life. When you expect perfection, you create constant disappointment. When you accept imperfection with wisdom, you create compassion. Love is not about finding a perfect person. It is about choosing to grow with an imperfect one. This is only the beginning. The mistakes discussed so far are the roots of most broken relationships. If you understand them deeply and apply stoic wisdom, love becomes calmer, stronger, and more meaningful. In the next part, we will go deeper into emotional discipline, communication, and how stoic principles can protect love from slowly falling apart. One of the most damaging mistakes in relationships is poor communication, not because people do not talk, but because they talk without awareness. Marcus Aurelius believed that words should be used carefully as they shape reality. In relationships, careless words create invisible wounds. Sarcasm, passive-aggressive comments, silent treatment, and harsh criticism slowly weaken emotional bonds. Many people say, "I was just being honest," but honesty without kindness becomes cruelty. When communication lacks respect, love slowly turns into emotional distance. The way you speak to your partner today becomes the way they feel about you tomorrow. Another mistake is listening only to respond, not to understand. Marcus Aurelius practiced deep self-reflection and awareness. In relationships, most conflicts happen because people are waiting for their turn to speak instead of truly hearing their partner. When someone feels unheard, they feel unvalued. Over time, they stop sharing. Emotional connection fades not because of lack of love, but because of lack of understanding. Real listening requires patience, humility, and presence. It means setting aside your ego and allowing your partner's feelings to exist without immediately judging or correcting them. Emotional dependency is another silent destroyer of love. While emotional support is healthy, emotional dependency is not. Marcus Aurelius warned against attachment to things outside your control. When your self-worth depends on your partner's attention, validation, or approval, fear enters the relationship. Fear of loss creates jealousy. Jealousy creates suspicion. Suspicion destroys trust. Love cannot grow where fear dominates. A stable relationship needs two emotionally independent individuals who choose each other, not cling to each other. Another mistake is confusing attention with love. Many people believe that constant texting, checking, and reassurance equals care. Marcus Aurelius valued inner peace and personal space. Love does not require constant monitoring. When attention becomes obsession, it suffocates the relationship. Your partner needs space to breathe, think, and exist independently. Respecting space builds trust. Trust strengthens love. Without space, love turns into anxiety. Unrealistic expectations also destroy relationships. Some expect their partner to always understand them without explanation. Others expect constant excitement and romance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that nature is not perfect, only consistent. Humans have limits. No one can meet endless expectations. When expectations are unrealistic, disappointment becomes constant. Love needs acceptance, not fantasy. Clear communication about needs and boundaries prevents silent frustration. Another harmful mistake is avoiding responsibility for your actions. Marcus Aurelius believed self-accountability is the foundation of character. In relationships, blaming your partner for everything creates imbalance. When one person always plays the victim, growth stops. Love requires two people willing to reflect, admit mistakes, and improve. Accountability builds respect. Without it, resentment grows. Emotional withdrawal is another slow poison. Instead of addressing issues, some people shut down emotionally. They become distant, cold, or silent. Marcus Aurelius warned against emotional avoidance because it leads to inner decay. Emotional withdrawal creates loneliness even when two people are physically together. Love needs emotional availability. When one partner disconnects, the relationship slowly starves. Another mistake is allowing external opinions to control your relationship. Friends, family, and society often influence decisions. Marcus Aurelius advised focusing on your own values rather than public opinion. When too many voices enter a relationship, clarity is lost. Advice is useful, but decisions must come from understanding between partners. Love guided by outsiders often loses direction. Ignoring emotional needs is also destructive. Love is not only about loyalty or presence, but about emotional connection. Marcus Aurelius believed humans are social by nature. When emotional needs are ignored, loneliness appears. A relationship can exist without cheating, yet still be emotionally empty. Emotional neglect is just as damaging as betrayal. Another mistake is staying in constant defense mode. Some people treat every conversation as a potential attack. Marcus Aurelius practiced calm reasoning even under pressure. When defensiveness dominates, communication breaks. Defensiveness blocks vulnerability. Vulnerability is where intimacy lives. Without it, love becomes shallow. Misusing silence is another issue. Silence can be peaceful, but it can also be a weapon. Silent treatment creates confusion and pain. Marcus Aurelius believed clarity is a form of kindness. If you need space, say it calmly. Do not punish your partner with silence. Healthy silence heals. Punishing silence destroys trust. Lastly, failing to align values creates long-term damage. Love alone is not enough if values clash deeply. Marcus Aurelius lived by virtue, discipline, and purpose. When partners move in opposite directions, love becomes a struggle. Alignment in values creates stability. Without it, love feels exhausting. One of the deepest relationship mistakes is loving with fear instead of trust. Fear makes people cling, doubt, and overthink. Stoicism teaches that fear comes from trying to control outcomes. When you love with fear, you are always preparing for loss instead of enjoying connection. This creates emotional tension. Trust, on the other hand, creates calm. A Stoic understands that nothing is guaranteed, but peace comes from acceptance, not anxiety. Another powerful mistake is confusing comfort with growth. Many couples settle into routines and stop challenging each other to improve. Stoicism teaches constant self-development. When growth stops, attraction slowly fades. Love stays alive when both partners inspire each other to become better, not just more comfortable. Another subtle error is expecting your partner to think like you. Different minds work differently. Stoicism teaches acceptance of human nature. When you expect emotional reactions, logic, or priorities to match yours exactly, disappointment grows. Wisdom comes from understanding differences, not resisting them. Another damaging habit is emotional dishonesty. Saying, "I'm fine" when you are not creates distance. Stoicism values truth, especially with oneself. Suppressed emotions do not disappear. They resurface as coldness or irritation. Honest, calm expression builds trust. Another mistake is ignoring small acts of disrespect. Eye-rolling, dismissive tone, sarcasm, or impatience seem minor, but they slowly erode intimacy. Stoicism teaches attention to small actions. Character is revealed in details. Love survives when respect is protected daily. Another issue is prioritizing being loved over being loving. Many people ask, "Am I getting enough?" instead of, "Am I giving wisely?" Stoicism teaches virtue through action. Love grows when both focus on contribution, not extraction. Another destructive behavior is escaping problems instead of facing them. Some people distract themselves with work, entertainment, or others to avoid emotional discomfort. Stoicism teaches courage. Problems ignored become heavier. Facing discomfort early prevents long-term pain. Another mistake is confusing peacekeeping with peace. Avoiding disagreement does not create harmony, it creates distance. Stoicism values honest dialogue. Real peace comes from truth spoken calmly, not silence built on fear. Another issue is losing emotional presence. Being physically together but mentally elsewhere weakens connection. Stoicism teaches mindfulness. Presence is one of the greatest expressions of love. Attention is more valuable than gifts. Another harmful habit is romanticizing suffering. Some believe love must hurt to be real. Stoicism rejects unnecessary suffering. Love should strengthen life, not consume it. Pain is not proof of depth. Another mistake is ignoring self-respect to keep love. Tolerating disrespect, betrayal, or neglect out of fear of loss destroys dignity. Stoicism teaches self-respect as non-negotiable. Love without respect becomes self-betrayal. Another subtle error is trying to be perfect for your partner. This creates performance, not connection. Stoicism values authenticity. Love grows when both people feel safe to be human. Another issue is refusing to let go when necessary. Stoicism teaches acceptance of endings. Not all relationships are meant to last forever. Holding on to what harms you is not loyalty, it is fear. Sometimes love means release. Another mistake is forgetting that love is a daily choice. Attraction may begin naturally, but love survives through intention. Stoicism teaches conscious action. Every day you choose patience, kindness, honesty, or ego. These choices shape the future. Another destructive habit is allowing anger to become identity. When resentment defines interactions, love fades. Stoicism teaches forgiveness as freedom. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is emotional strength. Another error is expecting love to save you from life's problems. Stoicism teaches inner resilience. A relationship should support life, not replace purpose. When love becomes escape, pressure increases. Another mistake is mistaking possession for commitment. True commitment respects freedom. Stoicism teaches that commitment is loyalty through choice, not control. Another issue is failing to align values. Love without shared values struggles long-term. Stoicism emphasizes virtue. Attraction fades, but values guide decisions. Another harmful habit is ignoring intuition. When something feels wrong repeatedly, wisdom listens. Stoicism teaches rational reflection, not denial. Awareness protects the heart. Another mistake is waiting for the other person to change first. Stoicism teaches personal responsibility. Change begins with self-discipline, not demands. Another issue is letting pride block repair. Refusing to apologize or soften damages bonds. Stoicism values humility. Repair is more important than ego. Another final mistake is forgetting that love is fragile, not weak, but precious. Stoicism teaches care. What you value, you protect. What you neglect, you lose. These mistakes are not warnings meant to scare you. They are reminders meant to guide you. Stoicism does not promise perfect love. It offers something better: stable love, conscious love, and peaceful love. When you apply Stoic wisdom, love becomes less about fear and more about character. Less about control and more about respect. Less about intensity and more about depth. This is how love survives. Relationships shape our lives more than anything else. When love is healthy, life feels lighter. When love is broken, everything feels heavy. Marcus Aurelius showed us that wisdom, patience, and self-control can protect what truly matters. If you found value in this video, press like to support the channel. Share it with someone who deserves clarity instead of confusion. And subscribe if you want regular content that helps you grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.